Okay, I'm gonna pull the clutch off that spare snow machine I got outside. I'm sure the one I rebuilt here is gonna work, but with those two broken pieces welded up in there, it may not be perfectly balanced. So we're gonna take this other one off and rebuild it and show you how I did it. Yeah, get the barbecue in the way. Okay, right about there. Right there, right there. Okay. 19 millimeter to take off the clutch bolt. Here's the bolt. Let me lower this down here. One second. Okay. Right here. I just made this puller. For this model, you need a 9/16 fine thread, 20 threads per inch bolt. I don't know how long that is, 2.5 inches, I think. And then I just had a piece of rebar or threaded rod, rounded off the end a little bit. Stick that in there. Thread that in, hopefully. Hopefully I got enough room with the fiberglass, I don't know. Huh, might have to loosen the motor mounts off. I might have to Dremel this out of the way here. Wow. Frig. You better loosen the mounts out. The fiberglass is touching the nut here. I gotta get my Dremel. Hold tight. Hopefully that'll work. Still just above freezing here today. I hope I can get it on there. Yeah. Try that. This lower cowl is all smashed in here, broken all the way along, crushed, so I don't think I'll save that. But I'm going to save the tunnel. The bumper's kind of annoying. There we go. All right. Hopefully this is going to work here. Holy moly, that sucker's on there good. I'm gonna get a hammer and give it a whack. There we go. That did it. She was on there good. I gotta get my magnet and pull that stud out.
Price of $13.95. That's Marysville.
Okay, I gotta clean my bench off. With all these tools, I got the clutch off. I'm gonna take this apart, show you how to service it, lube everything all up, put it back together. I'm gonna go ahead with this clutch. That one probably worked, but like I say, I'll show you what broke. I'll show you what broke on that clutch in this clutch, and hopefully this one's in better shape. Let me clean my bench off. Okay, got her semi cleaned up. Take this apart, inspect it, lube it up, put it on the machine. This is under spring tension, so it's going to fly apart here. My other one was so seized, even this wouldn't even separate. I had to beat the hell out of it just to separate. This is, at least this is coming apart right off the bat. You gotta be careful, this got spring tension on it. Don't want to pull the threads out, I gotta get those other ones out. I should have had that clamped down better, more pressure, so I didn't pull any threads out. There's 1, 2, 3. It's got a much better spring than mine too. Mine was just rotted right out. These springs are color coded, green, red, yellow. They're all different tension strengths to timing to engage your clutch, you know, at 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 RPM, kind of like a stall speed. These were broken in my other clutch, this clutch here. Two of these pieces were broken, and I welded them. Luckily I was able to weld them, and I got all lubed up, ready to go with that one. But these are all free, loose, everything works. So I'm gonna clean this in the Varsol bath first. Yeah, let me clean this all up in a Varsol bath first. Then I think we'll take apart each of the rollers and grease them up, white grease. Everything's in a lot better shape than mine. Wow, I'm glad I filmed this one. Okay, let me clean that up. Okay, I think I'm ready. Normally, if you're servicing a snow machine clutch, you don't have to take it all apart. You can just separate it like this, and they have an aerosol grease in a can. You can squirt it, make sure you get lots of lube in here, lots of lube on the ramps. I was always taught to use white grease, and because white grease is water resistant, and we mix it with a little bit of graphite grease here, or anti-seize. Maybe a little bit of synthetic grease so it sticks around. White grease is really light and thin, and the centrifugal force will blow it off real quickly, so you want something a little stickier with it, like this graphite or synthetic grease, maybe all the way above. But since I got it apart like this, I'm going to take the weights off and grease this all up. Turn the volume down a little bit. That clutch over there, I couldn't even get these pins out. I had to press them out. Everything was seized on it. These are the weights. These are the weights. The rollers in between here. Now, these weights are numbered. I don't know if it's grams or not. You know, I don't have a little weigh scale to double check that, but these are like 10. You know, so maybe they are 10 grams. I don't know. But you want to get lots of lube on all these shafts and everything. Pop that one out. I don't know if you can see there's a little notch on either side. On the inside of this I don't know what you call the thing, little clevis. There's two little notches right on this side that locate in this pivot arm. I don't know if you can see right in there, but there's two notches on either side that dowel has to locate into. Okay, let me make up a little paste here. I'm just about out of white grease. It's Good Friday today, everything's closed. Everything's closed in Canada anyways. So makes up a little pile like that. A good glob of that going in there. Have a little bit more white grease in there than had too much graphite in there, I think. There we go. On the weights. Put a little bit on the pin and a little bit on everything, and then make sure you rotate it all around so it's in there. If you don't take this all apart, you'll never get it in that thoroughly. But most guys, that's why there's holes in here in that clutch. They just spray some lubricant in there or put a little dab on the sliders. I like to take it all apart. Put a little bit on every surface. So now the tricky part is to slide that dowel back in there right on the money. That worked out pretty good. Dummy me. All right. You just got to kind of wiggle it and get it in those grooves. Put a little bit more on here. Spin it. Where's the nut? This is what I always do. Chase parts. There it is. There. You don't want to tighten it up too tight. You can break this arm. Okay, so now that this bottom joint down here You could press, you got to take this all apart, press those pins out. That's what I had to do for that one. They're really hard to get out. I'm just going to spray some penetrating oil there, pack some grease in there, and hopefully that'll do the trick. I really like this stuff here, this Lloyd's high performance penetrating lubricant. It sticks around. It's really really oily. I'll do all 3 of them. This clutch is actually in really good shape. Thank goodness something's going right for me here. Okay, now put a little dab of this anti-seize in there. Work its way in there. These are the ramps right here. These are bone dry. There's not a spot of grease on them. These need to be lubed up and maintained pretty good. So put a bit of that on there. Okay, I'm going to lube the other 2 now, take them apart. I'll get back to you. Okay, she's all lubed up. This little collar here catches the spring on the bottom. When I took that one apart, I had 2 of them in there. One was jammed in and all bent. Like that thing was fucked from the beginning. Monster to keep going a little bit. Okay, so I explained in one of the other videos there's a little mark. See that little slash right there? And there's a little slash on the housing here. So you always got to get that lined up because these are balanced. Yeah, this one doesn't have any holes drilled in it. Here's the original clutch. Look at all the holes drilled in there to get this thing balanced. Okay, so there we go. There's the mark there. There's the mark there. Tricky part. Shove a block of wood in there. Another block of wood. Just gonna put some pieces of wood in there so when I compress this, I can get these started here. Short to do this for up here. doing it on the ground. Let's see if I can do it here. Much easier to do it on the ground. Yeah, I'm gonna do it on the ground down here. Okay. Get my weight behind it. Can't get the sock. Should have put my knee pad on. Make sure I get it in lots of threads so I don't pull a thread out. Okay, one more. Okay. Slashes in there. Okay. I'm not sure what the torque is on that, but those are 8 millimeters, and normally 8 millimeters is, you know, like 14 to 18 pounds. Has a locking washer on there as well too. Okay. That's good. Okay. Let's see if I can put it on this one. I got a couple of these bolts. They're sticking out too far. I'm going to cut them off first. Clutch fits in there now. Get this out, that out, that out, that out, that out. It's a tight frickin' fit here. I put that aluminum plate in there. It's gonna make it difficult. That one nut is. Jeez. Let's see. I gotta take this one nut out. Okay. Got it in there. I still gotta do the clutch alignment too. Between these two clutches, and I'll show you how to do that. Every company sells an alignment tool, but you don't need that. It's just some basic principles. Well, that's going to be hard to get into this one too. Oh my God, everything's fighting me. I got to Dremel that hole too a little bit on that one. Oh, right. Just a little bit here. See if that works. There she goes. I'll just put it on there. Impact gun. I'm going to impact it in there, but I'm not going to crank it on there. I'm just going to make sure it's tight. Torque a little bit later. I'm not sure what the torque is on that. It's like I think it's like a 14 millimeter shaft on that, so maybe a 12 or 14. I don't know, it might be 75 foot-pounds, 90, I'm not sure. 65. I'll check that later. Okay, so clutch is on. We're getting close here. We're getting close. I'm going to check the alignment on this here. I might have to shift the engine a little bit. And I still got to hook the fuel pump up, see if it's going to work. Okay, a couple things to look for when you're setting up your clutch for the alignment is that these two shafts got to be perfectly parallel. You know, they can't have this one on an angle like this. It's got to be, this has to be dead straight with this one. So to do that, you need a straight edge. I got a steel ruler here that's pretty straight. And I can either line it up with this clutch here, the driven clutch, and then measure to the inside edge of the driving clutch. It's a little hard to see that way, so I'm going to put it against the driving clutch, and then you measure the distance between the edge of the ruler and the outer edge of this clutch right here. Check both ends, and that needs to be the same. You might need to this shaft, you cannot do nothing with this shaft. This shaft is permanent. It's the engine that you're going to have to tilt, move, up, down, whatever. So you might have to, that's why the front two holes are slotted, so you could turn the engine a little bit. This one I bolted in right where the old marks were, and it lines up perfectly. Now the other thing, you need to look for alignment. So you got them both parallel now. Now you got to get them in line. You can't have this clutch way the hell over here or way out here, you know, or the belt will just flop off all the time. So you got to have this line up exactly. So this part of the clutch closest to the engine is permanent. It doesn't change, right? It's fixed. And the outer part of the driven clutch is fixed. So you can't, so that's what you want to measure from or check from, is these two, because these are the moving parts, the outer and the inner. So the belt's going to ride dead center between this clutch here. Oh, get this down a little far in there. And so it's going to be lined up center here. When it's lined up center with this clutch, it should fit dead center in the middle of this clutch. That's at low RPM right there. If this was out like this a little bit, like that a little bit, it wouldn't line up. This lines up perfect, just like this. Dead straight. Otherwise you have to shift the engine in or out. So that's how you do that. Okay. I could put the belt on actually there now. I'm gonna drop the whole suspension in this thing. The suspension's C, so I'm gonna drop the whole suspension. Probably do that in the next video. But that's it for today. She's getting real close. The problem with the ignition was the kill switch. Let me shut this off. I took the ignition switch out, checked it, and it was working fine. I was going to take the ignition switch out of the other snow machine, but it's kind of seized up. So this one's working fine. It's just a little on the loose side. And then the kill switch, I disconnected from here. I'm also waiting for a throttle cable, or I'm going to have to make one or something. That one's pretty badly damaged. So where did we go here? So this is the wires for the kill switch on the throttle side. And what I did is I just put rather than cut these wires, because I'm going to look for a kill switch, I just put this connector in here, the little blade, squished it together so it shorts these two wires out together, just bypassing the kill switch for now. I'll tie that up in there. I might have to put a little toggle switch or something up there just so I got a safety switch, because this kill switch here, I took it all apart, tried cleaning it, fixing it, sanding down the little contacts in it. It's really complicated. I could have done a whole video just on that switch. And that switch, even when you disengage it, so you're not killing the engine, it has a throttle sensor, so that if you're pulling this thing over and it fires up and starts, the machine doesn't take off on you. The throttle has to be at your hands off it pretty much to start this thing. So if you touch that throttle at all, it kills the engine. And I don't know if that was part of the problem with it or not, but I could not get spark with that switch. Okay, so we're getting really close here. Right before I drop that suspension, I'm going to fire this up. I'm going to test the fuel pump and get this thing to bark in the next video. That's my goal. Then I'll tackle a suspension. That's it for today.